Good morning. It is 6:15 a.m. here on Tuesday, August 19th, and the temperature right now is a pretty cool 18 degrees Celsius, but I'm pretty sure it'll get a few degrees warmer. And I'm here at Yonge and Dundas, where I seem to have this scramble crossing all to myself. And in all the years I have been doing this channel and thousands of videos and live streams, this might just be the earliest video I've ever recorded. I've been invited as a guest on the CBC Metro Morning radio show, which is at the CBC building down at Front and John Street. This number of pigeons feeding, and I'll be on at 7:20. I'm supposed to be there by 7. But I thought, since I got to get up at the ass crack of dawn anyways, I might as well grab the camera and record a walk there. A pre-morning rush hour walk. In fact, it's a pre-sunrise walk. Sunrise isn't until 6:27. So what I'll be doing is heading a few blocks south into the financial district. And I will wander through there and make my way over to the entrance of the CBC building. I've recorded this stretch of Yonge Street dozens of times, and I've never seen it so quiet, at least not since the pandemic. There's the Eaton Center, where an Italy and a Simons is moving in. It just recently opened a Simons up at Yorkdale Mall. But no, I am certainly not, nor have I ever been, a morning person. So even though this couldn't be any more familiar to me, it's still got a bit of a parts unknown vibe to it. Look at that. She is just taking a nap till it's time to go to work, I guess. Financial district is just south of here. I don't think that truck took that right turn properly. Didn't even try to slow down at the red light. Apparently the first subway train from Eglinton was at 5:45, heading south. So I must have been on the second one. I think service will run till after 1:30 a.m. Someone making a Starbucks run. There's one right around the corner to the left here as we get to Queen and Yonge. Let's cross the street. So the financial district is bordered by Queen Street to the north here, to the east by Yonge Street, to the south by Front Street, and to the west by University Avenue. So we'll be in the financial district for the rest of the way. Maybe what I'll do is I'll make a right at Temperance Street and we can take that over to Bay. Incorporated on the 2nd of May, 1670. That was Canada's, or North America's, oldest retailer, who closed for good a few months ago. Although the name and the branding might live on, Canadian Tire has purchased the rights. There's Richmond Street. The 501 King has been diverted to Richmond and Adelaide Streets. Due to Ontario line construction along the stretch of Queen just north of here. Light crowd at Timmy's, that'll get busier in a few hours. This street was completely redone a few years ago. as I head west on Temperance Street. Oh, they've got a nice patio. Bike share is almost completely empty. I imagine, given the commuting patterns, there'll be a lot more bikes in there in a few hours. Rainbow Dreams. We're going to look up at Scotia Plaza, one of the big 5 banks. The financial district here is home to Canada's big 5 banks: RBC, TD, Scotiabank, BMO, and CIBC. It's also home to the tallest concentration of towers in the entire country, or the highest density of skyscrapers. Including what is, at least for now, still the tallest building in the country, First Canadian Place, where I used to work. There's a number of towers that, when all is said and done, will be taller under construction. Ironically, none of them are in the financial district. And I think that Starbucks is pretty new across the street. So this is Bay Street. There's Old City Hall straight ahead, its clock tower towering over Bay Street. That is actually higher than the Elizabeth Tower, which houses Big Ben in London. What was the Trump Tower. It was built as the Trump Tower by Talon, a fairly obscure developer at the time, if I'm not mistaken, but it was a bit of a failed launch, and it transformed into the St. Regis. All right, let's go along Adelaide Street for a little bit. And that's a 504 King Street car. So these newly rebuilt streetcar tracks on Adelaide and Richmond are getting some use, with Queen Street to the north of here not having operational streetcars along the stretch, and neither is King Street just to the south of here. Speaking of First Canadian Place, there it is. That is pretty new. E plus V? Edna plus Vita? There's a small stock exchange, the TMX, I believe, located in that building. Freakish 3D floating head. Financial district will often double as New York City in movies and TV shows. I think the skyscraper canyon really kind of adds to that effect. As we get to York Street, that barrier wasn't there not too long ago. And they just recently relocated the bike lanes to the north side of Adelaide. And this was a Starbucks as I start to go south on York Street. And it later became a test kitchen for Tim Hortons. Now it's found new life as a space as Bready. Canadian Western Bank. There's been a big push towards alternative banking, or banks that aren't part of the big five. I know some people that have switched to credit unions. I know a few people who are using Wealth Simple, which started life as an investing platform, but even though it's not really a bank, there's a lot of banking functions on that website or platform. But just like a lot of the discount mobile carriers, a lot of the no-fee or smaller banks are actually owned, or at least their banking duties are done by the big five. All right, I've still got a fair bit of time. Let's go along King here over to Bay, then maybe we'll head down to Front Street. There's the Mies van der Rohe Design TD Center. When I was a kid, I banked with CIBC. I think I called it a Smart Start account. But after university, I got a job for a TD company. Ooh, look at this. Black and blue. That is like straight out of a movie. I've been with TD for nearly 25 years now, and I'm just in the process of closing down my TD account. In order to maintain my bank account, I have to leave a minimum of $6,000 in the checking account just to waive any fees and get the annual fee waived off my credit card, which is through TD, or one of them. So I've decided to say no more. You hold $6,000 ransom, and of course you don't want to hold $6,000 there. You want to hold a lot more than that, because if you dip below that for 1 cent, you're going to get dinged with monthly fees, which is $30, and then my annual credit card fee, which is around $150, will kick in. So I've got just one locked in RSP to transfer out. I've already created a Lira at another organization with no fees. So I'm just waiting for that transfer to go through, and then I'll shut down my credit card there. And close my TD bank account entirely. Banks don't really offer any perks for being loyal. All they do is bump your credit up every now and then. Or your credit limit. Back to Bay Street. So some would say this is the heart of the financial district. And one thing I haven't yet mentioned is that there's a 30-kilometer network of underground walkways linking most of the major towers and all of the subway stations in this area right below us. It's called the Path Network. And it's considered the world's largest underground shopping network. As the colder months start to set in, it'll definitely be busier and busier in the morning hours. This was once home of the Toronto Stock Exchange. They've maintained the facade. But the trading floor here closed, I think, in 1997 or so. Now home to the Design Exchange. I think the TSX might actually be where we walked by earlier on Adelaide Street now. As we get to Wellington Street, and a look to the west. There's the twin RBC towers, although one of them's a little taller than the other. And this was built back when all the banks were having a dick measuring contest. The entire complex is clad in glass infused with 24 karat gold. I think each window pane has about 70 ounces of gold dust infused into it, which gives off that gold shimmer. And that is right across the street from Brookfield Place. A few people turning around and taking, or I'm the one turning around, but taking pictures, looking that way. Whenever I see people do that, I'm always curious to see what they're looking at. Front Street. So south of here is the South Core District. That's Union Station on the left, Canada's busiest transportation hub. And it is still 6:44 a.m. So normally I'd still have another 2 hours and 10 minutes of sleep or so. That's the Royal York Hotel on the right, formerly the tallest building in the British Commonwealth, until it was surpassed by Commerce Court North, which is a little bit northeast of here. So this is west along the north side of Front Street West. Well, we certainly have a lot more daylight than when I started this walk 30 minutes ago. now it's a straight shot to the CBC building. That's University Avenue. I've never really noticed this. The Bishop's Palace, 1818. This is the former site of a residence of Bishop John Strawn. Now home to the Loose Moose. There's a Leafs, Raptors, or Blue Jays game. This is a popular pregame spot to grab a bite and a drink. Probably postgame as well. As we walk by TD Bank. There's the Intercontinental, and Simon Wilson, a YouTuber from Wales, was briefly in Toronto. I believe that's where he stayed. Then he grabbed an Uber to Niagara Falls. And this is Simcoe Street. Apparently it's going to rain later today, but not until about 4 p.m. Alright, it's 6:50. They said to be there by 7, so I think my timing is okay. And I think the entrance I need is on John Street. So I will wrap up recording just as I get there. That's the Metro Convention Center on the left. There's the CBC building coming into view straight ahead. It was built in 1992. It's interesting, sort of modernist style, I guess you would call it. that was designed to consolidate various TV and radio services under one roof. There used to be a big, I think, public forum where you could head in and check out live broadcasts on the main floor. There's the Ritz-Carlton right next to it. But their newsroom and production facilities and radio studios are all in that one facility. I think in recent years they've been downsizing some of the interior space. CBC Radio Canada, but that is not where I was instructed to enter. Metro Morning with David Common. I like how this name, it's on like this tape that they can change. That's who I'll be meeting with very shortly. There's Glenn Gould, a famous Canadian pianist who lived up on St. Clair Avenue West. And we've made it to John in Front. With the CN Tower, Skydome, and Ripley's Aquarium right across the street. Zenga. But here we go. There will be security I have to go through, I believe. So we're just going to wrap this up here, but if you want to be in the audience for a Family Feud Canada taping, there you go. Well, I hope you enjoyed this early ass morning walk from Dundas Square through the financial district. I'm curious to hear your thoughts and comments down below. If you wish to support what I do here on YouTube, there's links to my Patreon and YouTube channel membership down in the description. I've got an Instagram account at Johnny Strides, and there is a super thanks button appearing down below if you wish to say thanks that way. Now it's time to head into this building, jump on the radio, and not fuck up. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. Yoink.